Hello, friends and role players, and welcome back to IQ D&D, the Ramshackle adventure. I remain your wonderful dungeon master, James Webster, and with me today are David Wilkinson.
Hello.
Sara-Jayne Slack.
Hi, folks.
And Hugo Jackson.
Hi.
We are sadly without Craig Hallam today due to a dental emergency. And we all wish Craig and Craig's teeth the best. When we last left our heroes, they had started to approach the end of a very long and eventful day in their lives, as they had, over the course of this day, accepted various missions that brought them together, investigated mysteries in the sewers beneath the city of Ramshackle, and met and kind of recruited the fugitive Anahis, a refugee from another plane, and doer of at least one accidental murder. You had then tried to meet up with one of the people who had reached out to this other plane, Professor Bustius, the only of one of the two still living, to find that he had been kidnapped. And after some combat and a rather exciting chase through the streets of Ramshackle, you managed to catch up to his abductors and rescue Bustius and bring him back to his home. Along the way, you took one prisoner that you later released with the promise that she would try to set up a meeting for you with her employers, the mysterious wardens of the other plane known as the Tangle. You had discovered that Bustius had erased his own memory so he wouldn't give up anything that he knew to his captors. And now the only explanation for how this all came about is locked in an encoded diary. And I think that's most of the stuff that is relevant, and that's where you are.
All of that happened in one day.
Yeah. There's a lot happens in a day in Dungeons and Dragons. Your days are interminably long.
We started this morning.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, yeah. This has just been like one long D&D session.
Yeah.
Ignore the background.
It's not changed. The background hasn't changed.
None of us have different clothes or different hair. It's all fine. So, the evening is well and truly upon you. The day is coming to its close. You are taking a second to regroup and just to allow the vast quantity of information you've absorbed today to sink in, try and connect some dots. And you'll just take a breath for the first time in a little while. And what would you like to do?
Food? Food good. Need food.
Definitely.
Does anybody need healing?
Yes.
I feel like Faria might need some medical attention.
Yeah, a little bit.
What
indeed.
Do you want?
2.
Yeah, so you are all looking fairly battered and exhausted and indeed physically injured in Faria's case and possibly a couple of others. So what you could do now is you could absolutely take a short rest, which mechanically means you can just spend your hit dice to recover hit points and refresh certain abilities. And if you wish to go out in search of food and nourishment and relaxation, then that would be a wonderful way to get that short rest.
Can we go to a bar?
I am shocked to hear Jack suggest this course of action. And indeed, roll me a history check to work out if there are any bars you like nearby. If you roll low, there will still be bars, you just won't like them.
4.
4. Plus add your intelligence and to that and your proficiency bonus if you have history trained. Let's just double check if you do.
I have history, no, but I have intelligence. That takes me up to 8.
Cool. Still not great. You definitely remember one bar that's nearby. It's called the Broken Arrow. You remember, among other things, that you have a considerable tab there. But you never know, if you say the right things and smile in the right way, they might just let you add some more credit onto that.
Well, yes. Is anybody else coming? Or am I just going by myself?
That's a good
I'll
question.
come. I'm hungry and someone needs to keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, I'll tag along as well. I definitely need something.
Okay, drinks are on Wendy then.
Fantastic. And I think Professor Bustius then goes, Anthony, if it's all right with you, I might borrow Alan, because I think that there's a cipher that might help uncode my diary that was left in my old lab. And I can tell Alan where it is, Alan can sneak in and take it, because I'm still not welcome there.
That makes sense.
Well, Alan really ought to keep an eye on him as well, if we're all heading out to the pub.
Very good. Where should we come and meet you afterwards? Will you just be in the pub for the foreseeable, or do you have like a base of
Well,
operations?
don't we have some people stashed at Farrier's place?
Yeah, Anahis is there.
Yep, Anahis is there, as is Posit, the walking arcane repository,
Yes.
Yeah.
and indeed Ick, the intellect devourer that you befriended, and who is now sitting inside of Posit on one of the bookshelves.
So yeah,
Or at least was when you last left.
So we'll go and get some scran and then meet you there.
Lovely. Alan can show me the way. Come on, Alan. And Alan, looking somewhat henpecked, follows along.
Well, he's literally got Princess Leia with him as well.
Oh
So-
gosh, yes, still carrying a hen in one hand and a fresh egg in the other still.
Did you see that video I sent?
Yes, it's in the episodes.
Good.
Love it. Fab. So, to the Broken Arrow then.
To the Broken Arrow.
Indeed, you make your way through the streets of the district.
Where are we?
Uh,
I haven't forgotten.
You are in the district of Chain, which is one of the more run-down parts of the city. So, but you make your way through a few little alleyways and dank streets down to a little hole-in-the-wall tavern with a somewhat weather-worn sign of an arrow snapped in two by a somewhat ferocious-looking human in a kind of piratical hat. You get the feeling the piratical hat may have been a more recent edition painted over on top of the sign.
You say I've been here before. Doesn't sound like the kind of place I'd go.
When you're sober, maybe.
You haven't ever come here in a hat, have you?
I don't think so. I'm not sure I am the hat. Shall we go in?
Are we going in then, or are we just going to stay outside?
Shall we-
Indeed, in
Hold on. Are we going to crash in or are we going to sneak in?
The sooner we enter this watering hole, the sooner we can leave.
Right. Okay. I'm sure the food's great. Come on then. So I shoulder barge the door because it looks like it needs shoulder barging.
Yep, it opens with a kind of thud and then a squeak and a little rattle. The door's clearly in need of some love and care. But in you go into the dingy interior of this pub. The floor is covered in sawdust and yet somehow still sticky. The pub is full of little dark corners where several brooding people are nursing pints.
It's a student hangout, guys.
Can I check to see if I know anyone there?
Yeah, absolutely. Just roll a d20, and on a higher end, you will know someone. In the middle, you won't know anyone. And if it's quite low, like 5 or below, you'll know someone and they will have an issue.
12.
So no, there's no one especially that you recognize. Other than the bartender, a purple-skinned tiefling, who are the race of humanoids who usually have some demonic or hell-spawned ancestry of some kind. And the tiefling looks at you and goes, "Ah, I see. Back again. Such is my lot in life, to serve these patrons. Such is the world and its woes that they will routinely return unto my humble establishment and test me. I mean, welcome.
Yeah. Have you got a menu, please?
Yes, we indeed have a menu, and they get a piece of paper from behind the bar and write a few things on it and hand it to you.
Wow.
And the options seem to be bread and cheese, mysterious stew, and miscellaneous meat.
Excellent. Right, we'll start with drinks. I'll have a white wine and Perrier, please. And how about you two?
I will have small ale.
If there's a cider, I'll have one.
Oh, we should get a cider for Alan.
You're having a cider, and you promised we wouldn't have any apples in Craig's absence. And we've broken our word.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the bartender fixes your drinks. The white wine looks of dubious provenance, but the water that's added does at least appear to be fizzy. And a small ale is poured from a cask on the back, and a bottle that has a picture of an apple on the label, at least, is provided to Farrier.
Yeah, can you put a vodka chaser in that wine as well, please? And I'll go for the mysterious stew.
Lovely. The bartender also looks at you at your request of a vodka chaser, and looks at the wine, and looks at you and says, "You know, in my time and my life, and given my ancestry, I should be familiar with all the blasphemies this world has to offer, and yet introducing a vodka chaser to this innocent wine is a new one even to me, but sure." And pours out a shot glass full of vodka and just drops the shot glass into the goblet of wine and fizzy liquid.
Yeah,
and shouts for an order of stew from the back.
Faria, what would you like to eat?
I mean, like is doing such a lot of work here. I will take the miscellaneous meats.
Very good. And again, shouts to the back.
And I will have the bread and cheese with a side of miscellaneous meat.
And bartender just nods, thinking, almost as if to say, good choice. And again, there's the sound of activity from the kitchen behind you, and you're assured your food will be out with you shortly.
Right. Is there a place next to the fire?
Let's see. There's a place not too far away from the fire. The kind of like comfy chairs right next to the fire are occupied by a pair of old women playing backgammon.
Yeah.
I'm not getting involved in that.
I was about to go and intimidate them. Can I go and intimidate them?
How are you going to intimidate them, Jack? Have you met these people before? They will destroy you.
What, because they're backgammon players?
Because they're old women who are backgammon players. You should know how this kind of thing goes by now.
Okay. I'll bow to Wendy's obvious wisdom in this matter. That could have been fun, though. Although I now suddenly remember that Farrier probably doesn't need to get into anything at the moment.
I would prefer not to, but it's. I'll be here anyway.
You could watch.
Yeah, take notes.
Yeah. So we'll go and sit at the table then. That's fine.
Yep. And the table, whilst not right next to the fire, is still reasonably warm. And as you sit there and let the drinks warm your stomachs and the fire warm your bones, you start to feel a little better after this hellacious day. Please do, if you wish to spend your hit dice, which is purely you'll have as many hit dice as you have levels, which I believe is still 2.
Mm-hmm.
It will depend on your class. You'll just roll them, add your con modifier, and you recover that many hit points.
What's my con modifier? 2.
That's all right. Back up to 13.
Yeah, and so after that little rest and the food comes out and you dig in, and despite the less salubrious naming of this food, it's actually surprisingly decent. You get the feeling this place keeps up a disreputable facade, but actually looks after its patrons fairly well, at least in the food department. While your drinks are of lesser quality, but they do the job.
Cool. That's the good way round. That's the way round to do it, definitely. Yep.
Shall we make some plans then?
Well, we need to go back to Faria's after this.
Yeah. Is that where we'll make the plans?
Well, I'm assuming that we need the input of other parties to be present.
Yeah. Shall we review where we are?
We can I'm sure you have a wonderfully long list, Jack.
No. It's all not making much sense.
I just imagine Jack bringing out like loads of papers and like putting them on the desk and like post-it notes stuck to their ear and all of that lovely stuff.
So we've got Anahis from this other place,
Mm-hmm.
and he's done all kinds of bad things. So we're basically...
Could I just make sure that there's no one close enough to be eavesdropping, please?
Yeah,
and this
absolutely.
guy from this portal.
Give me a perception check.
Okay, let me just check my sheet. Okay, so I do not have a plus in perception, so that is a 9.
You look around the room. Most people seem fairly involved in their own business, whether that's the backgammon players or people just really engrossed in their drinks, or a couple of people kind of arguing at the bar. No one seems to be paying attention to you that you can see.
Okay, cool. You were saying, Jack?
Yeah, so we've got Anahis, and he seems to be involved in stuff. And may want to stop the video at this point while I explain that I have no idea what this set means, which I've got ready. Or leave it going. Warden Naramson, wardens from the Tangle, kidnapped on orders of voice from the Tangle, TP circle, drop-off point, shack to the north, Sibella.
Sibella, I think, was the one who we kidnapped and convinced to.
To get another.
Yes, Sibella was the one that you manacled to a light fixture of Buster's house, and you released on with the promise that she would set up a meeting for you. I believe that she or one of the other kind of kidnappers that you foiled had a small code book as well that gave you the various dead drop locations and times. So if you wished to pass a message to the followers of Warden Naramsin who are operating in the city, then you could also do that. But given you have a messenger on the way, then you might not need to.
No, indeed.
Okay.
Yes, and I believe Anahis explained to you that Warden Naramsin was one of the figures of authority within the Tangle, who was head of an organization who have a quite isolationist policy and believe that people from the Tangle shouldn't go to other planes and should not interact with people from other planes, etc.
So where did we tell Sibella to meet us?
We hadn't yet. I think she was going to contact us. I think.
Right.
Yeah, she seemed confident she'd be able to find a way to contact you.
Well, that makes sense considering who we are, so...
Yeah, we've been kind of visible. And they have access to teleportation circles and things like that, so we're kind of on the back foot, I guess.
We've not exactly been operating under the radar, have we?
That's true. Do we think it's safe for all of us to go our separate ways this evening?
No.
Concise as ever, Jack.
Jack turns over the next page of her notebook. Bustius message, faculty, priests of ego, artifice-based souls, interested parties from city council, work with Ambrose. Magical featuring bending rules of reality, snapping back, breakers, not benders. What? Sacrifice reputation, bad luck, window cleaner, wiping so good.
It's quite all right. So to explain some of that, I'm not sure I can quite recall the window cleaner comment, but part of Ambrose's, Ambrose and Bustius's research had been around the. Sorry. There we go. Had been around various things to bend the laws of reality. In terms of artificial souls, this looks at things like creating posit and imbuing a kind of constructed intelligence with more and more magical properties over time to give it kind of soul-like properties. And certainly the things you observe from posit are that posit can cast in spells independently, which things without souls usually cannot do. In terms of the kind of comment about breakers, it's that it's to do with what enables people to make sacrifices that bend the laws of reality past what is possible with normal magic, which is by its nature changes reality. But has limits, and to be a breaker is to be someone who's able to push past those limits by making sacrifice. And it seems that Bustius had unintentionally done this and sacrificed his own reputation in order to create posit.
Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And the window cleaner?
Who even knows?
Not something to do with when we were letting ourselves into Bustius's house.
I wouldn't know. I was distracted by ice buns at that point. I think we both were.
Okay, so well, I guess at the moment we have to wait for Sabella to get back to us, and right?
We could go back and confront Anahis about all these things we found out.
Perhaps, but I'm not sure Anahis is going to know that much. He's just come through, hasn't he?
If he's been working with Bustius, then he might be able to fill some gaps in Bustius's, not necessarily restore Bustius' memory, but fill in gaps that we don't know about, or might have information that we can help decode the book with, maybe.
That's true.
Or even if he can understand the kind of cipher that's been used.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fari, are you still happy for us to come back with you?
Yes. Yeah, that's fine.
Good. Fab.
I want to make sure that my dad hasn't had his brain eaten anyway.
Yes, probably a good idea. Are we all finished here then?
How is the meat?
It's miscellaneous, but it's good.
Can you identify
How's the
it?
stew?
I don't know. Can I identify it?
Yeah, the meat just appears to be a kind of a selection of pork and beef, quite nicely cured. They probably just have a slab in the back. They just can slice bits off.
Cool.
The stew is.
Sorry.
The stew is very hearty. It's well seasoned and very warming.
It's soaking up the vodka. It's excellent.
Oh, I'm really hungry now.
Well, you're eating meat and bread and cheese.
Yes, I am currently eating meat and bread and cheese and drinking beer. Definitely not living vicariously through characters at all.
Is that blue mold on it meant to be there, do you think?
I think so. I'm just going to assume that it is, because the alternative is just not something I would like to use my brain to consider right now.
I'll bet you, right, a gold piece that the woman on the left wins the backgammon game.
I'm not going to bet anything with you, Jack.
Right.
The last time I did that, you almost had my sword.
Yeah. Faria?
I'm good. I don't want to take any more risks today, honestly.
Oh, well. I'm just itching to interact with those two women.
Well, it's up to you, Jack. I'm not your babysitter, she says with a long, suffering sigh.
No, I'll leave them alone. It's fine. We'll finish up here and go back. Can we get some carry out?
Yeah, you can try. So you can go up to the counter.
Barman, can we get some carry out, please?
The bar person looks over at you and goes, such is the lot of one such as me, burdened to go through the slings and arrows of outrageous patrons. Oh, woe, woe, woe. You can have some bottles to take with you if you pay your bill. And brings over the kind of check for your meals, as well as a backlog of drinks from your previous visits, adding up to, let's see, I'm going to roll a d12 here. Adding up to 10 gold pieces.
Wow. Right, the bar person.
How much is the tab just for the food we've eaten?
2 silver.
Okay, I'm happy to pick that up. I'll pick up the 2 silver.
Indeed. At this point, Jack, I would love for you to roll a perception check for me.
9.
Cool. So what you all will hear, although you're somewhat distracted by talking about the bill, is just the door kind of rattle open again. And as you are distracted by the bill and your discussion with each other and the bartender, you do not notice the figure coming over to your table until a hand reaches past your shoulder, Jack, to pick up the bill, and a voice you recognize says, "Oh, don't worry, I've got this."
I'm going to slowly remove my hands from the current bill as well then.
Yeah. Tell me, what's Jack's mysterious father figure's name?
Oh, you've sprung this on me now, haven't you?
I have. I can provide a name if you do not have one ready.
I do not have one ready.
Very well. This person's name is Jonik, Jonik. He is an elven gentleman who is probably some hundreds of years old, has been operating in this city for some time. Jack, you will know that he is a reasonably senior member in the League of Reasonable People, the organization that is responsible for founding the Society of Orderlies who maintain the city's laws, and indeed who determined several of those early laws.
I am utterly torn because I don't want him to pay for it, but that is a very hefty bill. How much money do I have?
I'm just kind of like looking at him and then looking at Jack and then looking at him and then looking at Jack.
Where's my money? I'll find it. There we go. That's nearly all my money. So just, Johnny, just... Ah! I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to let him pay it. I
Absolutely.
cannot not let him pay that.
That's fine. Without even counting out the coins, he takes a small coin purse from his from a pocket, one of several pockets on this kind of voluminous coat he's wearing, all in kind of black velvet. Hands it over to the bartender and says, "And you can keep the change. And perhaps we could borrow your room in the back for a few minutes. Jack, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to catch up."
Oh God, what now? What now? How do you know I'm here?
I know many things, Jack. And there are many people who recognize you for one reason or another and are happy to alert concerned figures in your life.
Oh, great.
Can I whisper to Faria? Can I be like, do you have any idea who this person is?
I don't think I do. I'm sorry.
I'm afraid I'm not introducing them either. I'm just going to go off to the back room with him.
Yeah, the bartender produces a key, unlocks one of the doors in one of the shadows towards the back of the tavern. And there's a surprisingly cozy and well-appointed room here. A couple of nice, cozy armchairs, a roaring fire that's much better fed and warmer than the kind of slightly meager one that was out in the main tavern itself. Nice upholstery. It seems that this is a special room for special guests. And Jonnet goes in, takes a seat, and gestures for you to close the door.
Yeah, I've taken the wine with me as well. I've slipped those into my inside pockets. So you two, if you want to keep drinking, you're going to have to get your own. So yeah, I've closed the door.
Marvelous. There is indeed to one side of this room. There is a sideboard with a decanter. That Jonnet pours himself a glass, and starts to offer you a glass, and so says, "It seems you already have a drink."
No, that one will be fine.
He pours a second glass of strong liquor from the decanter and places it on a small table next to you, a little coffee table type thing. Takes his own seat and says, "So, Jack, I hear you've been busy today."
Did Grand Orderly Austin tell you that then? Or is...
Funnily enough, Grand Orderly Austin does not tell me much these days. Grand Orderly Austin keeps their own company and does not see fit to tell those concerned citizens such as myself what's going on, which obviously concerns one of such a philanthropic bent as me. No, obviously, when new parties begin operating in my city, it quickly becomes apparent to me, especially when they may be reaching out to knowledgeable individuals to get the lay of the land.
Okay, do you know what's going on then? Have they told you this as well, or?
I know a little, and am hoping to learn a great deal more very soon. The little that I do know may be of interest to you, though I may require a small show of good faith to help me keep in the know and to make sure that I know you'll put it to best use.
Oh, here we go. What do you want?
Well, it's fortunate that you would mention Orderly Austin in this case, as I believe Austin knows some things about certain goings on that I'd be keen to keep abreast of. And as Austin has apparently developed a conscience in recent years, and has certain stubborn ideas of what is right and what is wrong, and is quite taken against some people who only have the city's best interests at heart, it would be helpful to me to know something of their comings and her goings. And Jonix slides a small kind of brass shiny figurine onto the table in front of you. It seems to be a small bronze dragonfly, and says, "I simply require that you place this somewhere on the Grand Orderly's person. And then once this is done, I'll be happy to share all that I know and all that I come to know about this unfolding situation with you, including such things as names and even locations of certain parties involved."
Well, this is quite a serious thing that's going on. I've got a kidnapped academician. Is that how you say it? I've got a kidnapped person I'm looking for. We've got people roaming around the town killing people and snaffling their brains and all the rest of it. I think you should tell me something.
And I would love to tell you something. Sadly, much of what I know is not yet confirmed. And by doing this favor for me, you would be allowing me one avenue to confirm such information. I'd like you to roll me an insight check right now, because here's what we're gonna do. There'll be we'll if you want to ask any questions, you can make a persuasion or a deception check. If you want to find kind of interrogate the answers a bit more, we'll make an insight check. I think very little is going to be kind of revealed on the surface, but through these checks, there's going to be some subtext here that might tell you a lot. Oh, alas.
I shouldn't have had those drinks.
Yeah, so this is... Jonnik is always quite hard to read. Jonnik's had a very long time to practice his poker face and to learn just what to say and what not to say. So what's coming through here more than anything else is just how much you know that he knows about how the city works. And there's just this sense of kind of vast depths of understanding that you can only hope to approach. And
I'm
you
not
don't
gonna
read
get it.
much more.
Yeah, after that, I mean, no one's going to get hurt as a result of this, are they?
It is quite my intention to minimize or indeed eliminate any harm that might be done in this city.
Well, I mean, with that roll of 1, I'm inclined to believe you. What's your interest in this? You must be having an angle.
Excellent. Roll me a perception check here.
14.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. Do I have any extra? No. Yes, +3 perception. That's 17.
Okay. His deception roll was lower than that. So just repeat the question for me.
What is your angle? What are you getting out of this?
What I get out of this is an understanding of what's happening in my city and information based on which I can make sound decisions that will minimize any damage that might be done to my interests, which are the city's interests. And I think what you kind of read from the subtext beneath that is that this is a situation where Jonnik doesn't know as much as he would like to know, and he is used to knowing almost everything about the city, or at least everything he would like to know about the city. And while certainly it's within his character to try and make sure there's a certain amount of stability so that he can continue with his various concerns and illicit operations, when there is instability, he will seek to resolve it in such a way that benefits him. So the undercurrent here is that yes, he wants to make sure no damage gets done, but that no damage gets done in such a way that he will come out ahead.
Do you already know about the Tangle and people from the Tangle?
The Tangle, you might have to elucidate a little bit more. Give me an insight check here.
16. Oh, +3, 19.
That's again, difficult to read. It's hard to say whether or not he's feigning ignorance to try and get you to reveal more, or whether that name just hasn't been mentioned before. You might need to give a little bit more to get a little more.
I don't want to give him anything. So I'm inclined just to pick up the dragonfly. Because that's all he wants me to do. Plant the dragonfly on Austin's person, and then he'll open up like a flower. Do I think that that is what would happen if I do that?
Certainly, Jonick is, in your experience, not someone to go back on his word.
Yeah.
But it is also your experience that once you are in Jonick's confidence, you are also involved in his schemes, and there might be further requests or expectations upon you later.
I am actually inclined to work with him on this, but I think I'm going to keep it to myself.
Okay, so you just take the bronze dragonfly, palm it, and Jonick looks at you, smiles warmly, and says, "I'm glad that I can trust you on this, Jack. I always like it when I can trust you."
What could possibly go wrong?
The thing is, I'm getting too old for this game, and I think I'd like to get out of this kind of stuff. So when all this is suitably concluded, will there be some other work for me?
I can always find something for someone of your talents if you wish to find it.
Well, we'll
If
see.
you were looking for something more secure and stable and less risky than these businesses you tend to find yourself in, then a place can certainly be found for you.
Well, you bear that in mind when all this is done. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, you do right by me, Jack, and I'm sure you'll be made for life.
Excellent. Well, that's kind of all that matters, really, isn't it?
I've always thought so.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to ask you to give me one last insight check as you leave.
9 plus 3, 12.
And I think beneath the surface, what you see there is a real fondness for you and a happiness that, having been a wild card for quite some time now, the prospect of you becoming someone that Jonick can rely on and a source of stability rather than of chaos, even if it's chaos you can take advantage of, that's appealing.
Well, we'll see how it ends up. I've not decided yet. But as far as he's concerned, I have. Or do you need me to roll on that as well?
No, absolutely not. You're fine there. But yeah, I think you just see a potential vision of the future of where you're on the other end of conversations like this and just sitting in comfort in well-appointed rooms, drinking very nice drinks and giving instructions to other more desperate people than yourself.
Be nice to get to that point.
And Jonick bids you farewell and says, "Thank you so much for your time, Jack. And as soon as your task is complete, call upon me and I will reveal what mysteries I'm able to."
Right. Thank you.
And Jonick heads out and gives a cheerful nod to each of Faria and Wendy on the way out and says, "Do look after my Jack."
Yeah, you two, look after me.
What just happened? Who is he? What are you doing?
He's old friend.
An old friend who
Yeah.
said, "My Jack."
Yeah, I did some work for him back in the day.
And you're doing more work for him now, I assume?
No. He's interested in what's going on. He has business interests across the city, and he's unsettled by the kind of like things that are happening. And he's concerned.
So he knows about the things that are happening.
He's aware that there's been a murder. He's aware that there are people here who shouldn't be here. He doesn't know who any of them are, and he just wants me to keep him in the loop.
And did you keep him in the loop? I shouldn't have to ask these questions, Jack.
I haven't told him anything. I just said I'll keep him in the loop. Yeah, it's the least he's just paid for our dinner. He's
Can
fine.
we trust him?
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's all fine. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Can I take a specific "is Jack BSing me right now" test?
That's an insight roll, my friend. David, please give me a deception roll for Jack.
Deception. Do I have deception? Hold on. Oh, I don't have deception.
I think you took intimidation instead.
Yes. Well, intimidation has done me very well so far.
21. Well,
One.
18 plus my 3.
Another one.
Oh my word. Yeah, I think Wendy sees right through this. There is certainly something that Jack is not telling you. There's a deeper relationship there. And there's something kind of like guilty feeling that Jack is keeping hidden beneath the surface there.
Well, that one's not unusual, so I'm probably not going to let that one ring any alarm bells. Okay, so how do I respond to that? Okay, so, well, you can say what you want about it, Jack. I know that you're hiding something. If you don't want to tell us, that's your prerogative, but I will find out.
There's nothing to find out. We'll, at some point when we found out some more stuff, I will meet him again and tell him what we found out. And
no doubt you will. And on that note,
there could be some money for us all in this. If he's a generous man. We can.
Mhm.
Sorry, elf. He's a generous elf. He'll look after us. Don't worry.
would I have any idea about this League of Reasonable People?
Yeah, the League of Reasonable People isn't a secret organization. But if you want to know more, give me a history roll to know specific, more interesting things. But they are one of those typical groups of concerned citizens, often who have various legitimate business interests that they just want to look after.
No, 4. That small ale's rather tasty.
Yeah, I think mainly you just know that they are a group very interested in law and order, who almost seem to place law and order as a moral good in its own category.
Okay. Do we have anything else to do here, or can we get back? I'm starting to feel rather tired.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's all good.
And I swear, if we see that flyer person one more time, I will not be held responsible for what I do to them. Just saying.
Sounds like fun.
Are we going to head out then?
Yeah, come on. Bill's paid. We've got a nightcap with us. It's all good.
Excellent. And you start to head out, make your way back through the streets of Chain to the slightly more homey and upmarket areas. You pass through the district of Hart briefly on the way back to Farrier's home in Puzzle. And you arrive on the busy street full of artificers and various artisans of one kind or another who have their workshops and stalls here. And we'll just go to the terrible MS Paint map of that workshop.
Oh, is this what you've been producing it all on?
Yes. Absolutely.
I wondered
You
what.
say terrible, but I can tell that that's a clamp on the left-hand side.
Oh yes. And
Good.
Is
I'm
that
glad.
a spanner?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an oversized spanner.
Pair of tweezers?
Possibly.
Okay.
I've honestly forgotten what that was supposed to be.
Are they stools next to it?
Yep.
What's the kind of like angle poise thing to the left?
That is a kind of like a pulley and crank system that can be used to move various heavy things around, but it's also can be used to help Faria's father in and out of bed and into various places. So it's both a thing to help with. Yes, so it is both a thing to help with construction and various artificery, whilst also being a mobility aid. And as you arrive back, you can hear the sound of a kettle being boiled, telltale whistling.
Thank goodness.
And you enter Farah's slightly unruly but very homey feeling house and workshop.
Are Anahis and Posit and Ick still here?
Indeed, they are. They are kind of seated around the main workbench. And Anahis is just carrying back over a steaming teapot to the table.
At least they have tea in the tangle. Not total barbarians. I'm guessing Alan isn't back yet.
No, Alan and Bustius do not seem to be there, but Aidan looks round as you come in. Says, "Oh, Faria, and your friends, welcome back. I'm so glad you're all okay. Please sit down. We were just making tea. There's enough for everyone."
Oh, lovely. Hi, Dad. Try and sort of hide the crossbow bolt holes in my jacket and
Yeah, you are looking a little bloodstained still, I think. So your father does, after a moment, do a little double take and go, "Oh gosh, Faria, you haven't been roughhousing again, have you?"
No, it's okay. It's just grime. Haven't been in the best of places, but it's nothing serious. It's okay. I've been looked after.
Yeah.
I assure you that Faria is safe with us.
Absolutely.
Give me a persuasion. Someone give me a persuasion check with advantage because you are backing each other up on this.
Oh, I got natural 20.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
yes,
there's
Dad.
just. I think more than anything that was said, you're just kind of projecting this air of like reassurance, comfort, and competence as well. Because for all that this has been a dangerous day for you, you've risen to its challenges, and you're starting to get a handle on what's going on. You feel, and you're feeling that perhaps something about being involved in these kind of events almost feels right, and that sense of rightness more than anything else is what comes across and sets Aidan at ease.
Cool.
So it's okay. Well, if you're sure, well, let's just all have a cup of tea, and I'm sure we'll all feel better in any case.
Sounds lovely.
Somebody's walked in.
But, yeah, it's just gonna be 1 second. If we can take a few minutes break, I need to go and check in on someone.
Okay.
Lovely. So yeah, call it 5 minutes. We'll be back at about 22 minutes past or so.
Cool, no problem.
Cool.
I just had this really lovely mental image of everyone coming back into the workshop and Aidan being worried and all of us just being like, "No, it's okay. We've got each other's backs. Don't worry." It was a little kind of like mental hug moment.
Yeah, very nice. And yeah, I mean, honestly, everyone has been looking after me. So it's like, yeah, I'm not lying. What kind of lying? But
You've been kind of disaster prone, really.
a little bit. Some of it was bad luck, but some of it was also like, I know what I need to improve, and it's like, okay, you know, when you sort of, you think I'm doing okay, and then you put in a situation where it's like, okay, now I know that I'm not okay, but I am determined to be. You know, that's kind of where I feel Farrier is right now. Yeah, mood.
We need team building.
Yeah.
No, I think we're sort of getting to the stage now where, even though it's just been a day, like the characters kind of understand one another a lot better already.
Yeah.
Wendy and Jack do not get on.
I think there's some level of grudging respect there on Wendy's side of things, but she just thinks that Jack's a bit takes too many liberties, I think.
Jack thinks that Wendy is a bit of a kind of prudish, straight-laced, stop dicking about Jack kind of person.
Yeah.
I feel like there is this kind of like, it's very weird how you have out of the two like pairs of people, you have Alan who's chaotic and Jack who's chaotic, and then Wendy and Faria who are kind of more the straight kind of foil to them. But it's almost like there's a harder chaotic interaction and a more kind of like jovial one on the other side. It's a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, it works really well, I think.
Yeah, I like it.
I think we're really portraying shared history as well.
Yeah, very much.
I think it really feels like we've been down a few roads.
Yeah.
And come out the other side, and so even though we may not get on, it's...
Yeah, I quite like that the characters don't have to start from scratch, and I also like that we know each other as people well enough to be able to sort of riff a little bit on that.
Yeah.
Because obviously if you're, meeting someone around a gaming table, you don't want to step on any toes, whereas, we can say, Fari and her dad have probably worked on, Wendy's grappling hook once or twice, or, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's always, the bit I have the hardest time with is kind of that more light-hearted kind of joshing each other, because I don't like typically making jokes about people. It makes me very like anxious, but when you get along with someone and you know them to the point where you can make those, you can start to kind of sort of step it up a little bit, but there's still that kind of trepidation of like, how far can I go, knowing that this is a really ridiculous situation where you would have this kind of sardonic humor about what you're going through, but also know that we are all, I don't want to say sensitive people, but like that, we do have that kind of neurodiverse element of, stuff like that. But I think that also adds to the sense of you increase the understanding that you have for each other, and like, knowing, okay, well, they need this help or they need that kind of boost one way or another. And I think that's one of the nice things about D&D generally, but also like when you have a really nice group that knows each other, how satisfying it is to have that. Sorry, I'm rambling.
It's also good that we can step in and out of the character, although it doesn't. We're not like that, but we are stepping in and out of the characters.
Yeah.
And if Sarah and I get quite when we're in this kind of, then we immediately step out of the characters and everything's kind of fine again.
Yeah. I think it helps when they are characters that you kind of know very intrinsically. Like, I mean, how is it for you, Sarah, being Wendy that isn't technically yours?
It's really tough, to be honest, and I definitely have a type of character that I tend to always play, and Wendy's very similar to my Morgan Taft character, who was the character I was mentioning at the start, that I played in school, and sort of many iterations on role play boards online and that sort of thing, and quite a bit of a hard ass straight shooting, doesn't take any nonsense figure. So I'm trying to add sort of little nuances, but to be honest, I find it really tough. I do find it difficult not to be very one-dimensional and just be the sort of headmistressy kind of. Don't know what that says about me, but yeah.
I think it's good though, because one of the problems that can happen in D&D is like this kind of decision paralysis. So it is good to have someone who is like, or a couple of people who are like used to taking the lead, which I'm very much not used to doing. So I think that's something that I've appreciated, because it's like, what do you do? And I'm like,
things.
Yeah.
It is now 4:24 p.m. where I am. My executive function is now here.
Yeah.
My character beats that I sent in to James a few weeks ago, I've been dreading some of them popping up.
I need to double check mine. I can't remember what some of mine are, and I should probably check, because I think there are a couple on there that will help me to build a bit more nuance into the character.
Yeah.
Judicious use of the editing button, Hugo, but we should have some good material out of that first. I think a bit of a recap is actually quite a good idea.
Yeah.
Previously on IQ D&D.
Well,
you get this in murder mysteries, that at some point they sit down and review everything that's been happening, because so much has happened and the reader's probably forgotten half of it.
Yeah. And it can be tricky, like when you explain it the first time, you think, oh, okay, and then you come back into it, you're like, hang on a minute, there are a lot of names here that I'm not familiar with, and that's kind of something that I mean, you've probably come across with editing. It's like, okay, can you reintroduce this concept like a couple of chapters on, because just so that readers are aware.
Both my arms are hurting. I've had 5 vaccinations in 3 jabs in 2 arms on Friday.
Oh, geez. That's it in your South Africa prep, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
One of the coolest things that's happened since I started the job, so for 2 weeks in my desk drawer, I had part of the Hubble Space Telescope.
Whoa.
Been in space. It's a little solar panel. We've got it on long-term loan from the European Space Agency, and we're not allowed to sell it, and we're not allowed to use it for anything other than educational purposes, and we're not allowed to make money off it. So we just show it. Do you want to touch something that's been in space? And it's got all these little micrometeorite damage all over it as well.
Yes, is the answer. Obviously, yes.
This might be a weird question. What's it smell like?
It's nothing.
Really?
It's been on Earth. It's been on Earth since 2008.
Oh,
so.
Okay. I remember someone saying that apparently space smells like burnt steak, so I wasn't sure if it still retained that kind of smell.
Yeah, I spoke to Charlie Duke, who was the 9th man on the moon, and he said the moon smells of gunpowder.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it really could blow up, like in Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, but the really weird thing. So I took the solar panels to a school, and then took them home for the night, and sat there looking at it in the living room, thinking this cost twice as much as my house.
Wow.
Which is why we're not allowed to sell them.
Fair enough.
Has everyone heard the good news, going slightly off topic, about the US taxman and NFTs?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, what has occurred?
The US taxman is now taxing NFTs after, is it 10K, Hugo?
Yeah, I think 10.5K, I think, yeah.
Good.
So, yeah.
Excellent. That sounds
Schadenfreude
positive.
is a harsh word, but lol.
Yeah. They can take those sour grapes and shove them one by one up wherever grapes fit, or sometimes whether they don't, to make it a more satisfying process.
Well, they're only going to tax it like 20% or something, aren't they?
Yeah, but it means they
Well,
have to
yeah.
record social security numbers in order to tax it, and nobody wants that because it's basically a massive money laundering multi-level marketing scheme. So as soon as they attach social securities to it, they have to identify who they are, and that means that all sorts of other things are probably going to get exposed. So,
But the blockchain, Hugo, it's going to save us all.
no, it's a noose, fucking shitbags.
Yeah,
Did you see the squid tokens have all died as well?
Oh, that was a
Oh,
scam.
God.
What was that?
Squid Game tokens. They were supposed to be the next blockchain currency, and it turns out to just be a massive confidence trick. James, we did actually do some stuff that can probably go into a video. It wasn't all.
Yes, we had sensible conversations.
We did,
no,
yeah.
honestly, I think confirming that not just the Squid Game tokens, but that all NFTs are indeed a scam, is something that can definitely go into an outro.
I'm
stand by
happy
that
for
sentiment.
IQ to have that stance.
Yeah.
Official.
I just like that now it stands for now filing taxes.
Also, God, Squid Game tokens is so appalling.
But isn't
It's
that
like-
just so the lack of self-awareness with Squid Game tokens after watching Squid Game and potentially just not understanding anything about Squid Game?
Yeah, watching Squid Game and going, you know
You know
what?
what this needs?
Capitalism wasn't the bad guy. This is just a fun game that we can get people to play. What a takeaway. Anyway,
Sorry.
Yes.
great. Yes. Where were we? Apologies. One of our opponents has just returned home, having been had to have their car towed the rest of the way here from
Oh no.
they were making. So, two of their tires blew out.
Oh, jeez.
Gosh. They're okay.
Yeah, she's fine. She's just a little shaken, but she's now home and recovering.
Cool.
Good.
Cool. Yes. Anyway, we were still we had just recovered. Aidan was pouring tea.
Yes.
So yes, you are in Farria's home and workshop.
Fab. So not Bustius.
Anahis is there.
Was it Ick and Aidan are all there?
Yes. Ick is still sitting on one of the shelves within Posit, kind of rattling around a little bit on the shelf.
Can I
still sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Posit still has some books missing. Is that right?
Indeed, Posit does have a couple of books missing. One of the missing books was one that Ick ate.
Yeah.
And consumed the knowledge therein, which is why Ick is sitting on a bookshelf.
Didn't we grab one in Bustius' house? Or no, it was one of the didn't one of the kidnappers have the book? A book.
The ones
Was
that
that the
missing
cipher
are,
book?
I thought that was his
ones
diary.
I've got written down that the interplanar motion for when your feet are just not good enough is one of the books that's missing. So that wasn't the one, was it?
I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I could be
And
wrong.
then the third one was a secret book.
Okay.
This is embarrassing because if it turns out in one of the previous episodes that you did recover that book, I need to retcon this. But I will. By the next time we meet, I'll double check that, and we can confirm then.
Okay. Fab. So the third book, secret book, we don't know what that is.
I have no note.
Posit was not able to remember.
Right. Okay.
But knew at least one more book was missing.
Was it not remembering? I just want to show this to the camera because I'm very proud of my new notebook. Dun, dun, dun. I have the best day job. Cool. So should we potentially let Anahis know what's been going on since we left him here?
Yes, I think that would be a good idea.
Is that something that was said out loud?
Yes.
So-
Wendy would have said that. Yeah.
Yep. And Anna has also chimes in with, I would love to know what was going on when I wasn't around. Did anything exciting or dangerous happen?
I'll have Wendy look over to Aidan as she says, well, certainly exciting. We're all here and Alan is also walking around fine. So it really depends on your definition of dangerous.
Can I take my dad to one side because I want to ask him if Anahis has said anything that we should know about.
Yeah. Aidan kind of wheels off to the side over to kind of the kitchen counter with you, kind of balancing a steaming mug of tea, kind of on the between the chair and his arm. Yes, dear. What's up?
How is Anahis? How's he been?
Well, he's been, a fairly good guest. Certainly very inquisitive about our lovely city here and the goings on and the things we make. So ask lots of questions. I get the impression that honestly, he's beneath that though. He's a little shaken.
Okay.
Everything does seem very new to him. He's been a little cagey about where he's from, but.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask, if he'd revealed anything about himself or his origin, his lands.
He made a few kind of passing references to his home. Apparently it was, he says he's in retrievals, and I'm not really sure what that means, but it sounds important. But he finds things and finds things out, that sort of stuff.
Okay. But he's nothing that would sort of set up any warnings for you or anything like that, or I don't know.
Well, it depends what you mean. Certainly, there's but for someone visiting this city, doesn't seem to have done a lot of research beforehand. Indeed, seems to have had some fairly basic questions about almost how the world works.
Right. So at best, kind of maybe jumped the gun a little bit, or potentially came here in a hurry without much time to prepare.
It's the impression I'm getting for certain.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Actually, I'm just gonna make a persuasion check for Aidan, just to see how much more Aidan might have gotten out of Anahis in the intervening time.
Okay.
Tell me, because I haven't statted Aidan yet. Is Faria's dad a particularly charismatic man?
I'd say so. Reasonably. I mean, he married my mum at one point, so yes.
Okay, let's add. We'll give him a +6 to this roll.
Okay.
Oh. Less. Saying there was one thing that he did mention. Almost kind of didn't make a huge amount of sense to me, to be honest. Said something about his home and how, depending on how things go, his home and Ramshackle might be a lot closer in future, which didn't seem to make much sense to me if it's a certain distance away. But I suppose there are. It certainly seemed a little perhaps out of place, or maybe even ominous.
Yeah, that's not something that you typically think about happening with regards to separate places moving.
No, but then I suppose the way he described his city was that there was certainly his hometown seemed he said was almost like a floating city, town, that kind of floated through some kind of starry void. Got quite almost homesick when talking about it.
Okay.
So maybe it could just float over here. I don't know.
We'll have to see. I think maybe he'll be willing to talk about it sometime when he's a little bit less under duress.
Yes, I mean, it certainly seems like it's been a stressful time for him. So maybe we can, once we've had a chance to decompress.
Yeah, I'm sure the tea will help.
Excellent. I find it always does.
Yeah, very much.
It's just so wholesome. I want many, many episodes just of Faria and Aidan just being like, could you pass me that thing over there, please, dear? I'm here for it, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Excellent.
Well, the thing I thought when he said you were in retrieval, have you seen the film Brazil? The bad guy torturers work in information retrieval.
Oh.
I'm saying nothing.
So while this is going on, I'm guessing that Jack has been the one to tell or bring Anahis up to speed, since Jack's the one with multiple notes and David has a better memory than me.
When we were in the inn, we went through the notes and made sense of them, and so I've been relating those to.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're deliberately leaving out, or anything that you're especially stressing?
What was the name of the, not Sabella, what was the name of the person that she was going to be speaking to? Did we get that?
Warden Naramson.
I think I'd like to ask Anahis what his relationship is with Warden Naramson.
Yeah, grand. How are you phrasing that?
So we've heard a name that's come up in our inquiries. We believe they're quite a significant person from the Tangle. We want to know, do you know them? Do you work for them? Or do you work against them? Their name is Warden Naramson.
Oh, right, yeah. I mean, I think I've mentioned them before. But Warden Naramson's, one of the head warden of Tangle. The one who says, oh, you shouldn't go out that gate over there. You shouldn't bother any of the other planes. We've got everything we need here, and it's dangerous out there. They've got dangerous ideas, which honestly never really sat well with me, because I like finding things out. I always figure the more you know.
Was Anahis just putting a voice on to sound like Warden Naramson, because I'm also here for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Sorry.
Now I'm saying, like, one of the reasons I came here was, like, after we all heard that message from Ambrose and Bustius, that I was on a job, and I overheard some things. I'd been hired to, let's just say, retrieve someone's property that was no longer in their possession, and this took me to one of the kind of, the warden's complexes, and I happened to overhear a kind of like meeting they were having, where Warden Naramson was talking about how the impact of this message, and how it meant people all riled up, and the Tangle Liberation Army were really hoping to make a push to leave, and how they had to stop that. Kind of like at any cost, really. And so I figured I really wanted to try and get out ahead of them, and kind of make sure people knew, because there could be some pretty bad consequences.
What are the Tangle Liberation Army trying to liberate themselves from?
I mean, kind of just from the Tangle. Like, they just Like their whole deal is kind of like the opposite of the Warden's whole deal.
Okay.
They'd really like better relations with people outside the Tangle and to be able to travel more. Tangle's a weird place, you know. It's really hard to set up a stable passageway to other kind of realms. The fact that you all were able to send us a message, and that seemed to, once we'd heard the message and knew the people, it felt like that kind of became almost a more stable connection. So I was able to kind of like reverse engineer my way through almost like following that message. But that's kind of how I got here. But they have, obviously, because I've seen like the big gate that you all have here, and we've got a gate that looks actually kind of similar on our end, only it's pretty temperamental. So I think that Warden Namson was planning to go through like the main gate to get here, and I kind of like took the sneaky back way.
It's interesting that you have a portal even when there are so many people within the Tangle who are set against any kind of outsider accidentally or otherwise getting involved with you.
Yeah, it's a pretty sturdy thing. It's a thing. It's like a magical artifact that's difficult to destroy, and I think that there's a strong school of thought was that if you did destroy it, like the kind of like there might be like a kind of magical backlash thing that might be bad news for the people, you know, living nearby it.
Have people tried it before?
Like supposedly a long time ago, the wardens kind of like looked into it, but yeah, again the I think there were like some kind of like auguries that were done, and they all said no, that's bad news.
Do we know what the object is that you have come here to retrieve? You say you've come here to retrieve some lost property.
Oh no, I didn't come here to retrieve lost property. I was retrieving some lost property for a client. And that's why I was in like the warden's kind of like place. One of their, like again, complex is what they call it. It's basically just, you know, like a fancy house that with lots of big walls.
So, do you think it would be a good idea if we met Warden Naramson?
In my experience, well, like Warden Naramson is pretty hardline. I've certainly tried to avoid meeting him wherever possible, because I'm someone who, you know, likes going places and finding out things that perhaps people like Warden Naramson think I'm not supposed to. You know, I've never managed to leave the Tangle before, but certainly I've tried. So, and like, the thing is with back home is that people have got kind of like long memories. So like they can hold a grudge and really make you, once you get on the bad side, hard to get back on the good side.
So his xenophobia, is that rhetoric, or is he actually going to hate us if we meet him?
Like I, again, don't know him super well. From what I've heard, like he'll probably want to have fairly well-defined parameters around that meeting, because like the more that he interacts with you and the more like he learns from you, the more likely he is to like be corrupted by exposure to outside influences.
I see. So it's kind of he's very into his kind of purity of Tangle and the people who live there.
Yeah, very kind of, like other planes are dangerous, they'll corrupt our way of life kind of thing.
Okay.
So that suggests to me that we won't have long when we do meet him. So we need a solid plan of action. None of this going in with just a wing and a prayer, Jack.
What happens if he encounters something? Say, for argument's sake, Tangle was to come across another world. What would Naramsin do?
Like the main thing Namson's done in the past when like our gates have opened up, and again it's like it doesn't happen very often, but like occasionally either someone will try and make contact with us, or like the kind of like worlds and planes will align. Normally his move is to like barricade the gate,
Okay.
just to stop anyone getting through.
If we meet him, would you being there be a help or a hindrance, do you think?
Ooh, yeah, I would not be keen on that. I feel like it would be a hindrance to me and my well-being in future.
But what about to our interaction with him? Because I've got a long list of crimes that you're kind of up for here. Maybe some of those might disappear off the list.
Yeah, no, I get that. And again, like, I'm still trying to get my head around the idea of what's a crime here. So
Negative consequences will be less for you.
yeah, okay, no, I see that, and you know, I do hate negative consequences.
I feel like it sounds to me like you're in a situation like negative consequences are kind of an inevitability one way or another, but I would like to avoid that for you if that's possible.
Thank you. So would I. I think you'll need to make me a persuasion check if you want Anahis to kind of like agree to come with you to that future meeting.
Okay. I mean, I'm not particularly interested in it, but
That's
yeah.
It would also be a thing. If Jack wanted to make a persuasion or indeed intimidation check, that would also be valid.
I think I'm going to work on persuasion at the moment. This doesn't necessarily mean we're going to take them, but I think that the door is open right now. So I want to be able to take Anahis if we decide we suddenly want to. So I'll do the persuasion check now. Oh, for God's sake. That's a 2.
Cool. And
I don't have anything to add to that. So.
well, you add your charisma bonus, so it's still
5.
Yep.
What if Anahis was to come with us, but not necessarily be at the meeting unless something happened and we felt we needed him?
You could definitely try to argue for that. Hugo, did you make a roll for Pharaoh as well?
I did. 21.
Cool. So with a 21 and with that kind of reassurance that you would be trying to protect him, he goes, all right, look, if you lot reckon you can, keep me safe, because I'm still not 100% sure that what happens if I die here, like I normally, people are back home when that happens, you come back after a little while, but I'm only finding out for the first time here that sometimes that doesn't happen in some places, which is wild to me. So yeah,
You're worried our physical law is going to apply to you.
Yeah, by law, you mean like as in the laws of your reality, or like the laws of your society? I'm worried about both.
And you're worried that Naramson might kill you.
Yes, and I'm worried that your whatever law and order structure you have here will also kill me. But like if you think you can keep me safe, then I'll trust that. You've been kind enough to like give me some leeway here, so I can extend that trust back to you.
We'll do our best.
Do we have the death penalty in Tangle? Not Tangle, Ramshackle.
That's a very good question. I haven't defined a lot of the punishments here. I know what several of the kind of bases for the laws are, but I think that what would happen is there would be a kind of tribunal of sorts who would decide on an appropriate punishment. I think the death penalty would be on the table, but very rarely used.
I mean, I'm looking at the list of crimes, and murder is up at the top there. But there's an argument to be made that you have to have knowledge that difference between manslaughter and murder is intent.
Indeed.
Anahit probably doesn't have intent.
Yeah, and I think in the city of Ramshackle, even murder wouldn't come with a death penalty as standard. There would have to be an argument made in a tribunal that this was the only appropriate punishment for a crime.
Okay.
So it would be for someone who poses a clear and present danger, not just to an individual, but largely to the city as a whole.
The reason I asked this is I wanted to say to Anahit, I'm sure you can make sure that the death penalty is not on the table. You're being very cooperative, and yes, I'm sure we can work something out.
Grand. Okay, yes, I'm interested in this. Cool. So, yeah, again, let me know what I can do to help, and we can just talk through when it comes up what you'll do to keep me safe when we're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure it will not be tonight. We can rest for a little bit.
Seconded.
Phew, that would be because it's been. I'd honestly, I just love to get the chance to experience a bit more of this, whole new world before anything too drastic happens. That would be great.
Well, welcome to the team.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, because again, not sure how long it'll be before you want to do your things, and not sure how long it'll be before Warden Naramson does whatever probably drastic stuff that he's going to do. So yeah, being part of a team in the meantime sounds nice. On the mention, by the way, of drastic things that Warden Naramson might do, and given the conversation that you've had, especially the questions asked about has anyone tried to destroy the gate in the Tangle before, I'd love to get Arcana rolls from everyone.
7.
11.
17.
Okay, cool. So those on a 15 or above, which is just Jack.
Fari is really tired right now.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah. Jack is aware that in the past, some people in Shackle have considered whether it wouldn't just be better to destroy the gate, the great portal that exists here. What's largely stopped them is that anyone with the knowledge to do so has also had the requisite knowledge that the consequences of destroying the gate are not well understood, but they would probably be catastrophic for anyone in the immediate vicinity. The exact consequences would be unclear, but certainly there would be an outpouring of magical energy that would be difficult to control.
I imagine Jack probably was investigating these people while we were in orderly.
Yep, that sounds absolutely right.
Well, given the time, we should probably all go to get some kip. Start again early in the morning.
And where would that be? I don't want to impose on Aidan if I don't have to.
I can make some room in the fabric storage upstairs, if you would want to sleep here.
Oh, yes, certainly. It seems like, says Aidan, that you're all in the middle of something. So I wouldn't really want to break up the band, as it were. And we can as Farrier can definitely make space, and I'm happy to provide tea and kind of breakfast.
Fabric sounds soft to lie on as well.
I mean, they're bolts of fabric, so if you don't mind it being sort of like a set of rollers, then there's an attic as well.
See
If
if
that's
I've got
more,
any-
if that's more Jack's thing.
Just seeing if I've got anything nice to lie on.
You probably have a bedroll.
Oh, I've got some kind of cipher notebook referencing back to, and I've got another nice book that says "Property of Professor Bustius." I'm not going to sleep on those though. Yeah, it'd be great. Be nice to.
I think Wendy would be a little bit hesitant, but since it's Faria and Aidan, if anything was needed in terms of artificer maintenance the next morning, then I think, I'm in the best place possible.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think some kind of bustling about starts as people start making up beds, clearing space, getting out spare kind of bedrolls and glorified futons. I think amidst this bustle, Aidan kind of directs Wendy to maybe head next door to borrow some extra bedding from one of the neighbours. And I think as this happens, you encounter someone that you recognise as one of the neighbours is a kind of a child who often you find running errands and is you will know as being an orphan, or at least someone who has somehow lost their parents, who you have been careful, because I'm going to throw in some aspects of Wendy backstory that, and you can veto these if you desire, but I think that Wendy keeps an eye on children who are either without parents or in tenuous situations, both as a nice thing to do for the community, but also with the kind of ulterior motive of people who are without parents are at risk of certain metaphysical dangers that you're very conscious of.
Correct. Yes.
So this is someone from, this is a child called Scraps, who is another tabaxi, this one's a more kind of dog-like rather than vulpine, so canine, that's the word I was looking for. And yeah, Scraps is just you meet them as they're coming out of the house carrying an extra bedroll to bring over.
Okay.
Scraps is someone who you often get to carry messages or to kind of bring you information about stuff that's happening out and about.
Sure.
And let me just get to a certain part of my notes. Yeah, and when Scraps sees you, the kind of eyes widen and they go, "Oh, Wendy! I mean, Cap'n! Good to see you. I didn't realize you were around. Oh wow, does this mean have you got a kind of like a job for me? Anything you need to know or anything that any messages? What's going on?"
Do you know Alan Shaw? About yay high, wears a long jacket, usually getting himself in trouble.
Yeah, I've seen Alan around. I think I saw him jump over a rooftop once and then fall into a trough that the horses were drinking out of.
Definitely Alan. If you see him around, can you mention that I'm staying with Faria and Aidan at the moment?
Oh yeah. I'll pass that on if I see him. I'll let some of the other kids know as well. So we'll keep an eye out. Yeah. Ooh, gosh. Like,
is everything okay?
well, I know we keep hearing some of the other kids are a bit worried, and now I'm a little worried. You know, these things kind of pass on. It just seems like there's stuff happening, like dangerous stuff. Is everything gonna be okay?
Look, I can absolutely guarantee that you will be completely fine. I promise. Oh, and by the way, I'm pretty sure that I still owed you a copper piece from the last message. So here's a copper piece from the last message, and here's one for when you managed to give this message to Alan. Call it an upfront.
Oh wow! Upfront payment. That's rare. That's great. Thank you. Oh, I'll be sure to look extra hard for Alan. Oh, great. Give me a insight or arcana check at this point.
Okay, it'll probably be insight. Yeah, definitely be insight. I've just taken off 2 copper pieces from my sheet as well. So 16 plus 3, so 19 on my insight.
Yeah, I think they'll give this to you. So, first of all, just in terms of what you kind of intuit from this, there's Scraps is someone who, along with some of the other kind of like urchin types that you've befriended and look after, usually has a really good vibe for what's going on kind of like street level. So
Mhm.
the fact that Scraps is worried about stuff, yeah, it means that the consequences of the what's afoot in Ramshackle is definitely starting to spread. And that people definitely on like the ground level are starting to get worried about fallout from that.
Mm.
On a more personal level with Scraps is kind of quite worried about Scraps's neighborhood, living here in Puzzle, and wants to keep it safe, especially as Scraps isn't someone who's had like often has a steady home,
Mm-hmm.
and is scared of losing that. I think what you notice in the act of giving Scraps this task and giving Scraps these kind of copper pieces as well is that a bit of that worry that Scraps probably isn't even aware of where it comes from, because it comes from that kind of fear of being abandoned, of being lost,
Mm-hmm.
and an almost like subconscious knowledge that there is a certain pathway that Scraps might have started down, and an apprehension, almost magical apprehension of where that leads, and that by kind of grounding Scraps more in kind of practical tasks that she can do to tie her into both her community here in Puzzle and also strengthening that connection to you is almost like Scraps is kind of taking a little step back from that.
Mm-hmm.
But you are conscious as well that depending on how things shake out, Scraps could end up heading down that path again.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll definitely make a mental note to myself to check in on Scraps more often, and I might in the morning see if I can talk to Aidan about potentially getting Scraps to do bits and pieces, which I'm happy to pay the copper for, but especially if Faria is going to be out and about over the next short while, shall we say. I think keeping Scraps busy and out of trouble might be a good thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Aidan kind of agrees. He goes, "Oh yes, definitely. Especially if Farah's going to be out running errands, I could use a bit of extra help around the house, help fetching things. Jolly good.
So can I give Aidan, how many coppers have I got? How many coppers to a silver?
10.
10. Can I give Aidan 1 silver that I'm assuming he can break down into coppers, just to, sorry, I'm just making a note, to basically keep Scraps a little bit out of trouble, but also to be useful.
Yeah, absolutely, you can do that.
Cool.
And I think
Jack rolling their eyes at Wendy at this point.
You've just paid somebody a retainer.
a little bit.
Little kid. Do you want me to break that silver into some coppers for you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm sure Aidan
I'll
can cope.
give you 8 coppers for the silver.
I'm sure Aidan can cope.
Okay. Well, it's your money.
It is absolutely, and made with hard work.
We all worked hard.
Farah just kind of awkwardly staring at a cup of tea while this conversation's going on, like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I think at that point, Scraps kind of runs back over and takes Wendy's hand and looks up with big wide eyes. Goes, so we're gonna be okay. Like puzzle's gonna be all right.
Puzzle is absolutely going to be all right, Scraps.
You promise?
I can promise that I will obviously do everything in my power to make sure that everyone, including you, stays safe.
Okay, it's a deal. And shakes your hand with a little hand.
So adorable. Yes, well, I should probably get some sleep.
Lovely. And indeed, just as you are settling in for the night, you hear and as you're kind of brought down the shutters and closed the door, and you're starting to move around and thinking about putting out the lights, there is a knock on the door.
It's probably best if I'll answer it.
What could possibly go wrong?
You open the door, and there is a figure that certainly Jack will recognize at the door. This is Grand Orderly Austin, so a person wearing an orderly uniform. It's up to you if Faria might have met them/her before.
I might have seen them in passing, but I don't think I would know them directly.
Yeah, that's right. And this person knocks, and they're fairly well-built, femme but bearded person who is looking kind of down at you in that kind of orderly uniform and armor. Says, "Hello, it's Miss Faria, is it?"
Yes. Can I help you?
Hi. Yes, I am. I've been asking around looking for Jack Pelarkin, and I have been directed here somewhere that she might have ended up. Is it possible I can speak with her? Is she here?
Gosh darn it, Jack. What have you done now?
Oh, no.
Can I hear what's going on?
Yeah, you can absolutely hear this.
Okay, I'll walk across. Just open the door more widely.
Okay.
Austin! Me old mucker.
Jack, what the bloody hell has been going on? What in all the hells has been? There was a scene at the college that people had said there'd been a fight in the quad, and there was blood and brain matter, and one of the sewers was open.
Yeah.
And there was still a body in the office.
Yeah, following up on leads. I can't do anything with the body. I have no power to do something with the body.
That's what I was expecting you to maybe check in once you'd had a chance to investigate. What's been happening?
It's been all go all day. We've got some great leads. I've sworn in a posse. These, do you know Wendy? I mean, we've surely.
Yes, I believe I'm aware of Wendy. Hello,
yeah.
Captain Quill.
And I couldn't. I've subcontracted some of the work because there's just too much for me to deal with. And you can't expect me to do everything in one day.
I expect you to at least check in. Jack, unless you have been drunk all day, I know you are competent. And there's stuff going on. I don't know exactly what it is, but obviously, the gate opened yesterday.
Yeah.
Some forces are at work in the city that are beyond my pay grade, but I know it's going to be my problem.
Yeah.
And
I put my arm around her and kind of draw her into the room. And is there a fire somewhere in here as well?
Yeah, you probably just put out the fire for the night, because there'll be probably there's like a little forge that doubles as the fireplace for the room.
Yeah, so I kind of move across and I'm trying to soothe her and just quietly saying, look, I've met, this is, we got into this, and I start relating certain key points, not all the detail or anything like that. Just
Previously on.
little blow by blow, kind of making sure that she could see how much danger I was in, and how I've really made some progress. And I kind of wave my book at her, and doing all of this, I try to slip a certain little bronze dragonfly into her pocket as well.
Marvelous. Give me a sleight of hand check.
I knew this was coming. Hold on, where's my sleight of hand? Which one is that then? Yeah. Oh, I've got +5 on this. Brilliant. All right. So that's 11 + 5, 16.
Very good. You are talking through the points of the day. Austin is keenly following along with the various points, and seems to have gotten wrapped up in the story, kind of despite themselves. And yeah, you slip the little dragonfly into a pocket, and Austin does not react to this. Meanwhile, please also do give me a persuasion check to convince Austin that you are indeed in control of this investigation.
Oh, 19!
Hey.
Hey. And do I have anything else on that?
You'll have your charisma bonus.
Yeah, so that takes me to 22.
Lovely. Yes, you are indeed very persuasive. This story is well told. It has a beginning and a middle, and you are confidently assuring them that there will be a satisfactory end.
Yes, I've also steered them away from Anahis. I don't want to talking to Anahis.
Very good. I was going to ask, are you mentioning Anahis to her?
I've mentioned him, but I have not mentioned that he is sitting in the corner.
his mage hand to pull the curtain across.
Grand. So yeah, I think during this explanation as well, she will have asked you for a description of Anahis when he was mentioned. Are you going to give an accurate description, or
no? I'm going to give a different one. Kind of weird him up a bit.
Great. I mean, in fact, given that Anahis originally appeared to you in a slightly different form, with kind of greenish skin, I think you probably just describe the original, slightly uncanny valley form of Anahis.
Yeah.
And yeah, big up the differences. And Austin seems placated by this and says, "Look, you've got to keep me updated, because look, Chief Leotrus is really on my case about this. He's got some kind of, I almost think that he's got some kind of like personal investment in what's going on, and someone on the council, I think, might be leveraging him to get this situation resolved in some fashion."
Yeah, I'm on top of that. I can't tell you anything now, but I'm on top of that as well.
Okay, right.
And I'm kind of steering her back towards the door now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that my chat. Oh dear, the door's now closed.
Absolutely. And you successfully, you with that 22 persuasion check, you managed this. And she just stops you in the doorway and kind of takes you and goes, "Look, Jack, I'm trusting you with a lot here. Like, I know that I'm paying you for this, but this is also for the good of the city, and I can't be as involved as I'd like to be because it's weird interplanar politics shit."
Yeah, it's good. No problem. Not have I even asked you for any more money. No, things are going that well.
Yeah, they must be going well.
Now she's sus. Now she knows you're sus, Jack.
No, I think she's taking that up at the face value. Like, it must be going. Yeah, you must be like enjoying this case if you're not asking for anything more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she walks off into the night. And as she walks off, she goes, "Oh, Miss Farrier, you had some post outside the door."
Oh, thank you. Yes, I will go get it.
Is that why?
No, it is a sealed. It is a sealed envelope with a drawn. Sorry, it's sealed with wax, and on the wax seal has an image of a lock and key on it.
Interesting.
Okay, I will slip it open.
That was great. And inside the envelope, there's a couple of pieces of paper and also something kind of weighty at the bottom, which seems to be you tip it out, and it's a die, a 6-sided die made of what looks like of some kind of bleached bone.
How weird.
And
I was just saying how weird.
yeah. And there are a couple of pieces of paper. There's writing on them.
Okay, can I read it?
Absolutely. So you kind of scan the first piece of paper, and at the bottom there is it is signed Sibella.
Oh.
And it effectively reads, I'll paraphrase, it is basically says, I have arranged a meeting for tomorrow for you with High Warden Naramsin, as requested. Please, I encourage you to approach this meeting with all due deference and caution. It is a great honor for you to be treated to this audience, and I'm taking a great risk by setting this up. And you're instructed to go to a certain place, effectively more or less in the middle of the city. So effectively in the perimeter, close to the gate. You were then instructed to be there at the 7th bell of the evening tomorrow, and then at the stroke of the 7th bell, you're instructed to roll the dice, and then go to whichever of the 6 locations it directs you to. And on the second slip of paper, numbered 1 to 6, are 6 locations. Each of them is about an hour's walk from that central location you're instructed to head to in the first place. One is a forbidden, a church that's been walled off in the district of Candle, that's been in some way forbidden. One is a watchtower in the district of Chain that is fallen into disuse. The third is a private room in a fancy restaurant in the district of Hart. The fourth is a hedge maze in the district of Harvest. The fifth is a certain occult library in the district of Puzzle, your home district. And the final one is an alleyway in the district of Shadow.
Wow.
What could possibly go wrong?
And the instructions read that the dice which is twinned with this one, when you roll it, will essentially roll itself to the same number, so that both parties, yourselves and the wardens, will then know which location has been randomly chosen. So you will be able to both be assured that no one has been able to lay a trap in advance.
Okay.
Can we roll the die a couple of times on this side to make sure it's not loaded?
You absolutely can. And you roll a couple of times, and it comes up with different numbers.
Okay.
Was of course assuming that they haven't just set a trap in all of these places that were waiting for us, so they can guarantee that they'll always have the upper hand. But
and there's 6, and there aren't 6 of us, so we can't preempt. And to be honest, I'm incredibly tired, so I don't fancy going to scope these now.
Yeah.
It's dark anyway.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. So I obviously relay this information to everyone, or let them read the letters, so we're all up to speed.
Fab.
Excellent.
We know what we're doing tomorrow morning.
So this meeting is set for tomorrow evening.
Yeah, tomorrow evening. So we've got a whole day of adventuring before this happens as well.
I don't think there's anything else that Wendy specifically would want to do or ask or anything like that, she needs to make sure that she has time to properly care for her grappling hook before bed as well.
Can I determine anything else from the paper or the ink or anything like that that might, I don't know, give an indication of what sort of resources they have? Or, it's just a fairly standard letter.
It seems fairly standard. It's just cheap paper. Not much you can tell about the ink. It's just.
Jack is well up for this. Jack is very happy with this whole situation. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, would not mind doing some reading before tomorrow. I'll probably go upstairs and shove my face into a few books.
Phenomenal. What are you reading?
There's some. Farry's got a couple of volumes about the nature of arcane sort of transference through the body and sorcery and things like that, but also others that are about trapping magic inside mechanical devices, kind of flipping between them to try and correlate the ideas of sorcery with the ideas of mechanics and stuff like that. And
very cool. Yeah, in fact, as you are settling in to read, and everyone else is starting to settle in for bed, where is Farry sleeping? Is Farry settling in upstairs?
She has a room upstairs.
Great. So just as you've been reading for about an hour, there's a gentle knock at the door.
Okay. I'll sort of crack it open and take a look through.
And floating outside the door is Posit.
Oh.
Hello, it is I, Posit.
Goodness, hello.
How did Posit knock on the door? Sorry, I was just had this like.
Effectively, Posit headbutted the door.
I was thinking
Asking the important questions. Sorry, I'll be quiet now.
No, that's absolutely fine. But says, I was wondering if you could help me with something.
Of course, yeah.
So I have found since I have been reunited with the knowledge within Ick, that I am not functioning as I was expecting to. I'm having difficulty amalgamating that knowledge within myself. I think the issue might be that Ick is a living creature. And while possessing the knowledge that was previously contained within my library is not actually a book.
Emotions are hard and they're not easy to regulate, and living things have odd rhythms, whereas knowledge stays more consistent, I think.
Indeed, it's very strange. And I was wondering, and I did consult Ick about this, and Ick makes some kind of clicking, slithering sounds that are not unlike speech. Yes, I agree. And we were wondering, seeing as you seem to be in the business of magic and of making things, you might be able to help.
Yeah, I would do my best. Tell me specifically about what you think I can do.
Well, that's a good question. Based on my knowledge, well, perhaps I'll show you a little bit of the theory underpinning my existence, and the kind of like glass cabinets on Ick's front side start to glow slightly with kind of arcane glyphs and wards and various diagrams of kind of like ritual circles and various equations of balanced kind of magical forces. Perhaps there is something we can do to adjust the basic kind of magical theorems at play that animate me to incorporate a more living repository into the repository.
Okay, so sort of tuning your ability to receive the information, I suppose.
Indeed. And yeah, I would like you to... In fact, I think you can know this, is that the process that's describing would be not entirely unlike how a living person attunes to a magical item.
Okay.
but almost reversed. You are helping a magical item attune to a living creature.
Okay. Interesting.
And I'll ask you to make either an Arcana check, or if you want to do this via more of a kind of like crafting route, some kind of smith tools or tinkerer's tools check.
Let's see. I think I only have a +2 for I have +2 for both, so it'll be the same.
Cool. It's just a +2.
I think so. For my Arcana, yes, smith tools is only a proficiency. It's not an expertise or anything. Unless
cool,
something else is added to it.
Let's see. So that would come off dex, so you could add your +1 to that.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that could be a +3.
Cool.
Cool.
18.
Excellent. So a couple of things become apparent. One is that, you can kind of reverse engineer this process. And what you do is with Posit's help and guidance, you almost kind of like rub out some of the existing equations and kind of huff on the glass to steam it up and draw the replacement kind of glyphs and equations in the steam, and then they kind of light up and glow with magical energy, and you are able to construct a basic but functional bond between Posit and Ick. You are aware that this is something you could possibly strengthen over time with repeated checks, and especially if you become more skilled in this and are able to get to mechanically to hit greater thresholds on the numbers. If you manage to roll, say, a 20+ on this in the future, that would definitely make the connection stronger. What you manage to do in the meantime is give Posit, at least after you've tried a few different combinations, there's kind of the arcane energy kind of swells, the geometric patterns displayed across Posit's surface kind of light up and almost swirl in a very pleasing kind of settled and balanced pattern. And there's a small burst of magical energy, and the same glyphs light up on Ick that light up on Posit. And Posit says, yes, I'm now able to access some of the... It seems that the book that Ick devoured was Ambrose Mab's diary, which had previously been kept in my repository for safekeeping. I'm not able to quite read all of it yet, but in time I suspect I will be able to. This is a most interesting passage. And reads it out in a voice that you do not recognize, but suspect would be an arcane reproduction of Ambrose Mab's voice. And what it says is, but if what I suspect is true, then the tangle is not just a fascinating anomaly, as Bustius believed, but may help explain the anomalous nature of Ramshackle itself. And if the mystery of the gate can be so explained, what does that mean for us? What reparations should be made? What wonders could we create via the science of theurgic translocation? And what further dangers might the gate unlock? Also, given the connection you have made, I will allow you to ask one question to Ick and Posit, either now or at any point in the future that you like, about the contents of that diary.
Okay, cool.
And it will answer as best its combined knowledge and the knowledge of Ambrose Mab would be able.
Cool.
And I think that's possibly a nice place to call it for this afternoon. Yes.
There we go.
So thank you very much. I'm glad we're all able to get together, and I hope that was fun for everyone.
Let us go to sleep now.
Yeah, you're now able to sleep. Who knows? Nothing might even happen during the night. Yeah.
That was really good.
We hit our stride eventually, didn't we?
Yeah, it took me a little bit to get going, I'm not going to lie. I think that's mostly my brain going, names. Good luck with that. I'm out of here.
But I think given where you were at in the story, this was always going to be one where you kind of regrouped and took stock. So I think that's probably a good session to be in that headspace for.
Yeah.
A bit of good editing and that should come out okay. It's all down to you, Hugo.
Yeah, that's fine. I really like it. But if anyone has any feedback about the episode or anything they notice that is like not gelling right, then you can let me know anytime, and I can, if you have anything now, I can change or do that going forward.
No, I've been really liking them so far. The only notes I have are mainly for myself as the GM to say less and
it's really
some
obvious
notes on storytelling.
If you put YouTube subtitles on, it becomes incredibly.
Yeah.
I do the same.
I would like to add closed captions at some point, but you have to go through and like edit all of the auto.
Yeah, it's such a
ones.
tedious process.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too. It's got pretty good. The algorithm has got pretty good at doing it.
I think,
But then
I
it
think
has to
the closed
cope with
captions
some of
are
our
okay.
Yeah. But grand. That was
really good. Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
Yeah,
really
thank
enjoyed
you.
that. I'm going to have to shoot off now. But
that's jump off as well. So yes, and I think we're in a good place to jump off the story into effectively the second day and hit some new exciting adventures.
Day 2. Yeah. Fab. Thanks, everyone.
And
Awesome
thanks,
sauce.
James. You do the most work, James.
Yeah, thank you.
True story.
You'll make it easy. All right,
Awesome.
super. All right, have nice evenings, everyone.
Yes,
You too.
take care, folks.
Yeah, I actually remember my first and possibly only critical success while playing a D100 system, because obviously when it's 1 in 100, it's somewhat less likely, and it was a really critical moment where I could not have succeeded unless I'd rolled a 0-1 on the 2d10.
Wow.
It was brilliant. I rolled as the dungeon master was looking something up on a table and going, okay, let's compare your score to this horrible monster's score. So right, says I think you'd actually need just a straight 1 out of 100 to succeed. I was like, I looked down and looked up, looked down and looked up. Can someone else just confirm what I rolled?
I'm not touching it.
Yeah.
Nice. That's brilliant. I remember the Woofrup campaign we did at school. I was on it for like 4 years. And every Friday after school for 4 years. Same character. A lot of my friends had multiple different characters who got killed off and stuff. But I was, really adamant that I would survive. I was quite a cautious player. And it was like we did the Enemy Within campaign, and there was like a greater demon or something right at the very, very end. And I had this sword that basically, if you hit something and had a critical hit, you got to roll again. So it stacked. And I don't know if I'd had my Weetabix for breakfast that morning, but I basically one-shotted because I just kept rolling 6s on different dice as well. And my the teacher who was the DM was like, you've just one-shotted the bad guy that you've spent 4 years getting to, and its twin brother appears next to it.